I was falling. The Lagos skyline spun around me like a twisted carousel as gravity pulled me down from the penthouse tower of the Okonkwo estate. My brother Chukwudi's face, twisted with rage and something darker, something I'd never seen before, disappeared above me as the wind screamed in my ears. 23 floors. That's how high our parents' billion-dollar property stood, and that's how far I was plummeting toward the marble courtyard below. 3 seconds. That's all the time I had left to live, and in those seconds, 1,000 memories flashed before my eyes. But the one that stuck was from just 5 minutes earlier, when Chukwudi had smiled at me, placed his hand on my shoulder, and said, "Come, Amara. Let me show you the view from the top. Let's talk about our future together." Our future. What a cruel joke. My body hit something. Not the ground, but fabric. Heavy, industrial fabric that gave way under my weight but didn't tear. A construction top. The renovation crew had left it stretched between the 18th and 19th floors, and I crashed into it like a stone into a net. The impact knocked every molecule of air from my lungs, and I bounced once, twice, before rolling to the edge where scaffolding caught me. I lay there, broken but breathing, staring up at the tower where my only brother had just tried to murder me. Blood trickled down my temple, my ribs screamed with pain, and my left wrist bent at an angle that made my stomach turn. But I was alive. And that's when I heard it, Chukwudi's voice floating down from above, talking on his phone. "It's done," he said calmly, like he was discussing a business transaction. "The estate is mine now. Transfer the offshore accounts like we discussed. By tomorrow morning, there won't be any trace of what really happened to our parents in that car accident." Car accident. The words hit me harder than the fall. Our parents, Chief Obi and Lady Ngozi Okonkwo, had died 6 months ago when their Range Rover veered off Third Mainland Bridge into the lagoon. The police called it mechanical failure, brake malfunction. A tragic accident that took 2 of Nigeria's most prominent business moguls. But it wasn't an accident. And my brother, the person I'd trusted more than anyone in the world, had killed them. I must have made a sound, a gasp, a whimper, I don't know, because suddenly Chukwudi's phone conversation stopped. Silence hung in the air for 3 heartbeats. Then I heard his footsteps, rapid and heavy, moving away from the edge. He thought I was dead, splattered on the courtyard below. He hadn't looked over to confirm. That mistake would cost him everything. I needed to move, but my body wouldn't cooperate. The construction site was empty. It was 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, and the workers wouldn't return until Monday morning. My phone was gone, probably lying in pieces on the ground below or still in my handbag up in the penthouse. Nobody knew I was here. Chukwudi had made sure of that, suggesting we meet privately to discuss the will without the lawyers pressuring us. The will. That's what this was about. Our parents had built an empire worth over 4 billion naira, real estate, shipping, oil investments, tech startups. The reading was scheduled for Monday. And apparently, Chukwudi had already decided he wasn't interested in sharing. A new sound cut through my pain-fogged thoughts. The service elevator, the one the construction workers used. It was moving. Coming down. Chukwudi was coming to make sure I was dead. I tried to move, but my body had other ideas. The world tilted sideways, and darkness crept in from the edges of my vision. The last thing I heard before I passed out was the elevator ding echoing through the empty building, followed by footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Getting closer. I woke up to the smell of antiseptic and the sound of machines beeping steadily beside me. My eyes cracked open to harsh fluorescent lights, and for a confused moment, I thought I was dead. Then the pain hit me, a symphony of agony that confirmed I was very much alive. "She's awake," a woman's voice said softly. I turned my head, slowly, because it felt like my skull was filled with broken glass, and saw a nurse standing beside my bed. She was young, maybe 25, with kind eyes and tribal marks on her cheeks that identified her as Yoruba. Behind her stood a man in a white coat, Dr. Adeyemi according to his name tag, and someone else. Someone who made my blood run cold. Chukwudi. He sat in the corner of the private hospital room, his face a perfect mask of concern. When our eyes met, he stood up quickly, rushing to my bedside with tears streaming down his face. Amara. Oh, thank God. Thank God you're alive. He grabbed my good hand, squeezing it. I thought I'd lost you too. First Mama and Papa, and then you. I tried to pull away, but my body was too weak. The heart monitor beside me started beeping faster, reflecting my panic. Easy, easy, Dr. Adeyemi said, gently pushing Chukwudi back. Miss Okonkwo, you've been through severe trauma. You have 3 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, a concussion, and extensive bruising. You're lucky to be alive. Lucky. I almost laughed, but it would have hurt too much. What happened? The doctor asked. Your brother said he found you at the bottom of the construction scaffolding at your family estate. Did you fall? Were you pushed? I looked at Chukwudi. He stared back at me with those same eyes I'd known my whole life. My big brother who used to carry me on his shoulders at the beach, who taught me to ride a bicycle, who cried with me at our parents' funeral. But now I saw something else lurking behind that familiar face. A warning. A threat. I fell, I whispered, my voice rough and painful. I was walking around the tower, looking at the renovations, and I lost my balance. The lie tasted like poison, but I had no choice. Not yet. Chukwudi had killed our parents and tried to kill me. If I accused him now, who would believe me? He'd already established the narrative. Tragic accident, just like with Mama and Papa. And if I challenged him while I was weak and vulnerable in this hospital bed, he would find a way to finish what he started. The doctor frowned, clearly skeptical, but nodded. I see. Well, you'll need to stay here for at least a week for observation. That was quite a fall. After the medical staff left, Chukwudi moved closer. He sat on the edge of my bed, and when he spoke, his voice was too low for anyone outside the room to hear. Smart girl, he said, still maintaining that concerned expression. I always knew you were the clever one. Yes, you understand the situation, don't you? Nobody would believe you anyway. Poor Amara, so traumatized by grief that she's having delusions about her loving brother. Why? I managed to ask, though each word hurt. Why did you kill them? His smile was the coldest thing I'd ever seen. Because Papa was going to change the will. He found out about my business arrangements. The money I borrowed from some very dangerous people. The deals I made using the company as collateral. He was going to cut me out, Amara. Leave everything to you, his precious, perfect daughter. So you murdered them. Our parents. I solved a problem. He stood up, straightening his expensive Armani suit. And I solved another problem last night, or so I thought. But here you are, like a cockroach that won't die. So let me make this very clear. You'll keep your mouth shut. You'll sign whatever papers I put in front of you after the will reading, and you'll take your small piece and disappear. Maybe London, maybe New York. Somewhere far away. And if I don't? Chukwudi leaned down, his lips close to my ear. Then I'll finish what I started. But next time, I'll make sure there's no construction tarp to save you. And maybe I'll visit that little orphanage Mama was so fond of, the one in Acadia where you volunteer every Saturday with all those children. It would be tragic if something happened there. A fire, perhaps. These old buildings, they go up so fast. My blood turned to ice. He was threatening the kids at Hope House Orphanage. Children who'd already lost everything. Before I could respond, the door opened again. A police officer walked in, young and serious-looking, with a notebook in his hand. Miss Okonkwo? I'm Officer Benson Okafor from the Lagos State Police. I need to ask you some questions about your fall. Chukwudi's expression never changed, but I felt his hand tighten almost imperceptibly on the bed rail. This was my moment. My chance to tell the truth, to expose him. But then I thought of those children at Hope House. Little Zainab, who was only 6. Tund, who was afraid of the dark. Chioma, who called me auntie and drew me pictures every week. It was an accident, I said, hating myself with every word. Just a stupid accident. Officer Okafor studied me for a long moment. Something in his eyes suggested he didn't quite believe me, but he nodded and made a note. If you remember anything else, here's my card. He placed it on the bedside table and left. Chukwudi smiled triumphantly. Good girl. Now rest. You have a will reading to attend on Monday, and I need you looking strong and healthy when you sign away your inheritance. He walked out, and I was alone with my pain, my fear, and a terrible realization. I had 48 hours to figure out how to stop my brother from getting away with murder. 48 hours to find proof that he'd killed our parents. 48 hours to save myself and everyone I cared about. And I had to do it from a hospital bed with 3 broken ribs and a police force that already believed Chukwudi's lies. But as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I remembered something. Something Chukwudi had said on the phone after he pushed me. Transfer the offshore accounts like we discussed. He wasn't working alone. Someone else was involved. Someone who knew about the offshore accounts. Someone who helped him kill our parents. And if I could find out who, I might just have a chance at bringing my brother down. The next morning, I had an unexpected visitor. Her name was Folake Mensah, and she was everything my mother had been, elegant, sharp-eyed, and absolutely terrifying when she wanted to be. She'd been Mama's best friend since their university days at the University of Lagos, and now she stood at the foot of my hospital bed wearing a traditional Ankara dress that probably cost more than most people's cars. Don't give me that look, Amara, she said before I could even speak. I know something is wrong. Your mother and I made a pact 30 years ago. If anything ever happened to either of us, the survivor would watch over the other's children. And right now, child, you look like you need watching over. I wanted to tell her everything. God, how I wanted to. But Chukwudi's threat about Hope House echoed in my mind. I fell, Auntie Folake. That's all. She pulled up a chair and sat down with the kind of deliberate movement that meant she wasn't going anywhere. Your mother didn't believe in coincidences, and neither do I. 6 months ago, your parents die in a suspicious car accident. Now you fall from the family estate? From the same tower where your father kept his private office. My heart skipped. His office. I thought that was cleared out after. It was supposed to be. But knowing Obi, that man never threw anything away. He was old-fashioned, kept physical copies of everything important. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. 3 weeks before they died, your mother called me. She was worried about Chukwudi. Said he was mixed up with some dangerous people, that Obi had hired a private investigator to look into his business dealings. A private investigator? Who? A man named Femi Adebayo. Very discreet, very thorough. He was supposed to deliver his final report the day after your parents died. She paused. He disappeared that same week. His office was cleared out, his files gone. Police said he'd left the country. My mind raced despite the throbbing in my skull. Do you think Chukwudi? I think your brother is more dangerous than you realize. Auntie Folake reached into her expensive Gucci handbag and pulled out a small envelope. Your mother gave me this 6 months ago. She said if anything happened to her, I should give it to you, but only when you were ready. I think you're ready now. My hands trembled as I took the envelope. Inside was a key, small, silver, with a number engraved on it, 347. It's a safety deposit box at First Bank of Nigeria, Victoria Island branch, Auntie Folake explained. I don't know what's inside, but your mother said it was insurance. Her words exactly. Insurance against the worst. Before I could respond, my hospital room door swung open. Chukwudi walked in, and his smile faltered for just a fraction of a second when he saw Auntie Folake. "Auntie, what a pleasant surprise," he said smoothly, recovering quickly. "How kind of you to visit our Amara." Chukwudi. Her voice was cold enough to freeze the Lagos heat outside. "I was just leaving. Amara, dear, remember what I said. Your mother was always prepared for everything." She squeezed my hand meaningfully and walked past Chukwudi without another word. After she left, Chukwidi's mask slipped. What did that old woman want? To check on me. She was Mama's friend. She's a nosy busybody who should mind her own business. He moved closer, and I instinctively pressed the call button for the nurse hidden in my palm. "What did she tell you?" "Nothing. Just that she's sorry about the accident." He studied me for a long moment, then seemed to accept it. "Good. Because tomorrow is the will reading, and I've arranged for you to be discharged this afternoon. The lawyers want both of us present, and you certainly don't want to miss it." "I'm not well enough to leave." "You're well enough." It wasn't a suggestion. "I've already spoken to Dr. Adeyemi. He agrees you can recuperate at home just as easily. I'll have Patience come stay with you. You remember our old housekeeper? She'll take good care of you." Patience. I did remember her. She'd worked for our family for 15 years, had practically raised us after our mother got busy with the business. She was loyal, trustworthy, and most importantly, she'd never believed Chukwudi could do wrong. Perfect for keeping an eye on me. "Fine," I said because I had no choice. That afternoon, true to his word, Chukwudi had me discharged. The ride back to the Okonkwo estate was torture. Every bump in the road sent lightning bolts of pain through my ribs. We drove past the gleaming towers of Victoria Island, through the chaotic traffic of Lagos, until we reached the gated community in Ikoyi where our family mansion stood. The estate was enormous. 10 acres of manicured gardens, a swimming pool, tennis courts, and the main house that looked like it belonged in a luxury magazine. But all I could see was the tower. The place where Chukwudi had pushed me. The place where I'd almost died. Patience met us at the door, her warm face creased with worry. "Ah, my poor Amara. Come, come, let me help you." She supported my good side, practically carrying me up the grand staircase to my old bedroom. As she fussed over me, getting me settled into bed, I realized something important. Patience had been here the night of my fall. She lived in the servants' quarters behind the main house. "Patience," I said carefully, "last Saturday night, did you see or hear anything unusual?" Her hands stilled on the blanket she was tucking around me. "Unusual how?" "I don't know. Anything strange." She was quiet for a moment, then spoke in a whisper. "I heard voices. From the tower. You and Master Chukwudi. I thought you were just talking, but then—" She trailed off, her eyes filling with tears. "Then I heard a scream. Your scream. And when I ran outside, Master Chukwudi was already in the car, driving away so fast. He didn't even stop when I called to him." My heart pounded. "Did you tell anyone? The police?" "No." She looked ashamed. "Master Chukwudi came back an hour later. He said you'd fallen, that he'd panicked and gone to find help. He said not to mention hearing anything because it would look bad, like he'd left you there to die. He gave me money, said it was for my discretion." Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Amara. I should have spoken up, but I was afraid." I grabbed her hand with my good one. "Patience, I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" She nodded. "I need you to help me get to Victoria Island tomorrow morning, before the will reading. There's something I need to do at the bank." "But Master Chukwudi said you're to rest. Please. My life depends on it." Something in my voice must have convinced her because she nodded slowly. "The will reading is at 2 p.m. Master Chukwudi will leave at 1 p.m. to meet with the lawyers first. I'll get you there and back before he knows you're gone." That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump, convinced Chukwudi was coming to finish what he started. But morning came, and with it, a sliver of hope. At 11 a.m., Chukwudi left the estate in his Mercedes, dressed in an expensive black suit for the will reading. 20 minutes later, Patience helped me into her old Honda, and we drove toward Victoria Island. The bank was a gleaming glass building that reflected the Lagos sun like a mirror. Inside, the air conditioning was a blessing after the humidity outside. I approached the safe deposit box section, key clutched in my shaking hand. The attendant, a middle-aged man with glasses, checked my ID and led me to a private room. He inserted his key and mine into box 347, and it clicked open. Inside was a thick manila envelope. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were documents, bank statements showing wire transfers from Chukwudi to a company called Apex Holdings. Emails printed out, detailing meetings and payments. Photographs of Chukwudi with a man I didn't recognize, someone with hard eyes and expensive clothes. And at the bottom, a handwritten letter from my mother. "My dearest Amara," it began. "If you're reading this, then your father and I are gone, and I pray you are safe. Your brother has fallen in with dangerous people, specifically, Chief Babalola Adeyemi, a man who operates in the shadows of Lagos's business world. Chukwudi owes him over 500 million naira, and we fear what might happen when the debt comes due. Your father and I have been gathering evidence to protect you and to give Chukwudi one last chance to come clean. But if we're gone, know this, your brother is not who you think he is. Trust Folake. Trust the evidence. And whatever you do, protect yourself first. With all my love, Mama." I sat there, staring at my mother's handwriting, and for the first time since that night on the tower, I cried. Not from pain, but from grief and rage and a desperate kind of hope. I had proof. My parents had given me proof. But as I carefully packed everything back into the envelope, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I know where you are. I know what you found. You have until the will reading to decide. Give me those documents, or everyone you love dies. Starting with the children at Hope House. I'm watching them right now. Choose wisely." Below the text was a photograph. Taken just minutes ago, judging by the timestamp. It showed the front of Hope House Orphanage, and standing outside, watching the children play, was a man in a black suit. The same man from the photographs with Chukwudi. Chief Babalola Adeyemi had found me. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're loving this African drama, hit that subscribe button and share this with your friends. I stared at the photograph, my blood turning to ice. Through the image, I could see little Zainab playing with a red ball, completely unaware of the predator watching her. Tund was there too, laughing at something Chioma had said. They were all there, innocent and vulnerable. Patience grabbed my arm, seeing my face go pale. "Amara, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. The envelope containing my mother's evidence felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my hands. This was it, the choice that would define everything. Save myself and expose Chukwudi, or surrender the only leverage I had to protect children who'd already lost so much. My phone buzzed again. Another text. "You have 2 hours until the will reading. Come alone. Bring the documents. Victoria Island Park, the bench near the lagoon. If you tell anyone, if you bring police, I'll know. And the children will pay the price." My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. 2 hours. That's all I had to figure out how to save everyone without getting myself killed in the process. "Patience, I need you to do something for me," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Take me to Hope House. Right now." "But the man in the photo." "I know. But I need to see them. I need to know they're okay." The drive to Ikeja felt like it took forever, even though it was only 30 minutes through Lagos traffic. Hope House stood on a quiet street, a 3-story yellow building that had seen better days but was filled with more love than most mansions. As we pulled up, I saw him, Chief Babalola Adeyemi, exactly as he appeared in the photographs. He was standing across the street, watching. When our eyes met, he smiled and raised his phone, a clear threat. I wanted to run to the orphanage, to grab all the children and take them somewhere safe. But I knew that was impossible. There were 23 kids at Hope House, ranging from 4 to 16 years old. And Chief Adeyemi had resources I couldn't begin to match. Instead, I called the orphanage director, Sister Mary, a nun from Kenya who dedicated her life to these children. Amara, we weren't expecting you today, she answered warmly. How are you feeling? We heard about your accident. Sister Mary, I need you to listen carefully and not ask questions. Keep all the children inside for the rest of the day. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in except people you know personally. Tell the children it's a special indoor activity day. Her voice changed immediately, becoming sharp and alert. What's happening? I can't explain now. Just please, keep them safe. I'll fix this. Amara, please, trust me. After a long pause, she said, Okay, but call me the moment you can. I hung up and looked at Patience. Take me to Victoria Island Park. You can't meet this man alone. Let me call the police, let me call. If I call the police, those children die. Chief Adeyemi owns half the police force in Lagos. My parents' files mention that too. He has connections everywhere. Judges, politicians, officers. That's why Mama and Papa were so afraid. Then what are you going to do? I looked down at the envelope in my lap, then at the key that had opened the safety deposit box. An idea was forming in my mind. Desperate, dangerous, but possible. I'm going to make a copy, I said. And I'm going to gamble everything on one play. We found a print shop in Victoria Island, one of those small places that does copies and passport photos. The young man behind the counter looked bored until I handed him 5,000 naira and told him I needed everything copied in 15 minutes. Suddenly, he became very motivated. While he worked, I called Auntie Folake. Amara, is everything all right? No. But I need you to do something. And I need you to not ask why until later. Can you do that? Your mother asked me the same thing once. The answer is yes. In exactly 90 minutes, I need you to go to the will reading. No matter what happens, no matter what anyone says, I need you to be there. And I need you to bring Officer Okafor, the policeman who questioned me at the hospital. The one who didn't believe your fall was an accident. Yes. Tell him if he wants to solve the case of Chief and Lady Okonkwo's deaths, he needs to be at that will reading. Tell him to bring backup, but keep them outside. Hidden. Amara, what are you planning? Something Mama would do. Something brave and probably stupid. But it's the only way. After I hung up, Patience grabbed my shoulder. You're going to give this man the fake documents? I'm going to give him what he expects. But I'm betting Chief Adeyemi has never been betrayed by someone he underestimated. People like him, they think they're the smartest in every room. They think someone like me, young, injured, scared, will just fold. The copies finished. I put the originals in a new envelope and the copies in the old one. Then I had the shop attendant mail the originals to Auntie Folake's office with express delivery. Insurance, just in case my plan went completely wrong. At 12:47 p.m., Patience dropped me off at Victoria Island Park. The bench near the lagoon was exactly where Chief Adeyemi said it would be, isolated, away from the main paths, where screams wouldn't carry far. He was already there, sitting calmly like he was enjoying the view of the water. Up close, Chief Adeyemi was smaller than I expected, maybe 50 years old, with grey in his hair and the kind of face that could look grandfatherly one moment and absolutely ruthless the next. Miss Okonkwo, he said pleasantly. Please, sit. You look like you're in pain. I sat, keeping the envelope close. Where's your man? The one watching the orphanage. Still there. He'll remain there until I tell him otherwise. Insurance, you understand. He gestured to the envelope. Is that what I think it is? My mother's evidence. Everything she and my father collected about you and Chukwudi. Smart woman, your mother. Shame she was too smart for her own good. He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather, and my blood boiled. You killed them. You and Chukwudi. I provided resources. Your brother provided motivation. It was business, nothing personal. Your father should have accepted my offer to buy into Okonkwo Enterprises. Instead, he threatened to expose my operations. Can't have that. He held out his hand. The envelope, please. I hesitated, and his smile disappeared. Don't make me call my associate at Hope House. He has a particular skill set that I'd prefer not to employ on children, but I will if necessary. I handed over the envelope with the copies inside. He opened it, scanning the documents quickly. His expression shifted from confident to confused to angry in the span of seconds. These are copies. Yes. Where are the originals? Safe. And on their way to someone who'll know what to do with them if anything happens to me or those children. I stood up, my ribs screaming in protest. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call off your man at Hope House. You're going to leave those kids alone. And you're going to come with me to the will reading. He laughed, a cold sound that held no humor. And why would I do any of that? Because in 45 minutes, Officer Benson Okafor will receive a call telling him about your involvement in my parents' murder. He'll have enough evidence to start asking questions, not enough to convict you, but enough to make your business partners very nervous. And men like you, Chief Adeyemi, you can't afford that kind of attention. Your whole empire depends on staying in the shadows. His eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. Am I? My mother taught me to play chess when I was 7. She always said the best move is the one your opponent doesn't see coming. You didn't see me coming, did you? You thought I was just a scared girl who'd hand over everything to save some orphans. I leaned closer, ignoring the pain. But those orphans, they're my family. And I learned from the best that family is worth fighting for, even dying for. For a long moment, we stared at each other. Then his phone rang. He answered it, listened, and his face went even harder. I see, he said quietly. Understood. He hung up and looked at me with something that might have been respect. Your friend Folake is at the lawyer's office. She brought the police. And she's been making calls to my business associates, my political connections, telling them all about mysterious documents that might come to light. You've made a lot of noise in a very short time, Miss Okonkwo. My mother's final lesson: if you can't fight quietly, fight loud. Make sure everyone is watching so your enemy can't make you disappear. He stood up slowly. You realize this doesn't end here. Even if I back off, your brother won't. He's in too deep, owes too much. He'll keep coming for you. I know. That's why I need you at the will reading. I need you to testify about your arrangement with Chukwudi. In exchange, I'll give you 12 hours to leave the country before the police get everything. And if I refuse? Then we both lose. You go to prison, and I probably die. But at least I'll take you down with me. Chief Adeyemi studied me for a long moment, then smiled, a real smile this time, tinged with something like admiration. Your mother would be proud. You have her spine. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Stand down. Leave the location. Yes, now. My knees nearly buckled with relief. But understand this, he continued. I'm only doing this because you've made it too costly not to. Your brother, however, he's desperate and stupid, a dangerous combination. Watch yourself. He walked away, leaving me alone by the lagoon, shaking with adrenaline and fear and a fierce kind of hope. I'd bought time. I'd protected the children. Now I just had to survive the will reading and somehow convince everyone that my brother was a murderer. My phone buzzed. A text from Chukwudi. Where are you? The reading starts in 30 minutes. If you're not here, I'll know you're planning something. And sister, if you are, well, accidents happen all the time in Lagos traffic. even to old housekeepers like Patience. My blood ran cold. I'd been so focused on saving the orphans that I'd forgotten. Patience was still out there, alone and vulnerable. I called her immediately. No answer. Called again. Nothing. Then a video message came through. It showed Patience, tied to a chair in what looked like a warehouse, tears streaming down her face. And standing behind her, holding a knife to her throat, was someone I never expected to see. Femi Adebayo, the private investigator who was supposed to have disappeared. Except he hadn't disappeared at all. He'd been working for Chukwudi the entire time. The world tilted sideways. Femi Adebayo, the man my father had trusted to investigate Chukwudi, the man who was supposed to deliver evidence that would save our family, had betrayed us. Had probably been the one to tell Chukwudi about the investigation in the first place. Had maybe even helped plan my parents' murder. Surprised. Chukwudi's voice came through on a call. You should see your face right now. Oh wait, I can. Check the corner behind you. I spun around, ignoring the spike of pain in my ribs. There, parked across the street, was Chukwudi's Mercedes. He sat in the driver's seat, phone to his ear, watching me with that same cold smile. You really thought you were so clever, didn't you? Running to Auntie Folake, making copies, threatening Chief Adeyemi. I've been tracking your phone since you left the hospital, little sister. I know every move you've made. He paused. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get in this car. We're going to drive to the will reading together like the loving siblings we are. You're going to smile, sign the papers I need you to sign, and then you're going to disappear for a very long time. And Patience. Femi will keep her comfortable until after the reading. Assuming you cooperate, she lives. If you don't, well, you saw the knife. My mind raced. Officer Okafor would be at the will reading, but without Patience's testimony about what she heard that night, without Chief Adeyemi willing to testify, I had nothing concrete. Just copies of documents that could be dismissed as forgeries. Chukwudi had outmaneuvered me. Or had he? Okay, I said quietly. I'll come. I crossed the street and got into the passenger seat. Chukwudi smiled triumphantly, putting the car in gear. As we pulled into Lagos traffic, I noticed something. His hands were shaking slightly on the steering wheel. My brother, for all his bravado, was nervous. You made a mistake, I said softly. Really? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm about to inherit a 4 billion naira empire while you become a distant memory. You involved too many people. Chief Adeyemi, Femi, whoever else helped you kill Mama and Papa. Every person you brought in is another liability. Another person who can betray you. They're loyal. They're criminals. Loyal only to money and self-preservation. I turned to look at him. Chief Adeyemi is already planning his exit. I gave him an out, and he took it. What makes you think Femi won't do the same the moment the police close in? Shut up. But his hands shook harder. And you know what else? You talk too much. That phone call I heard after you pushed me. Transfer the offshore accounts. I recorded it. His head snapped toward me. What? I was lying, but he didn't know that. My phone was in my pocket when I fell. Voice-activated recording. It survived the fall. Everything you said is on there, about the offshore accounts, about the accident that killed our parents. The police have it now. The car swerved slightly as his composure cracked. You're lying. Am I? Why else would Officer Okafor be waiting at the will reading? Why else would Auntie Folake bring police backup? I leaned closer. It's over, Chukwudi. The only question is whether you want to make it worse by hurting Patience. For a long moment, the only sound was Lagos traffic, the horns, the shouting, the eternal chaos of the city. Then Chukwudi pulled over abruptly, parked on the side of the road, and laughed. It was the sound of someone who'd lost their mind. You always were good at chess, he said finally. But you're forgetting something. I have nothing to lose now. If I'm going down, I'm taking everyone with me. Patience, those orphan brats you love so much, Auntie Folake, even you. He pulled out a phone, not his regular one, a burner. One call and Femi executes Patience. One more call and my associate goes into Hope House with a gun. How many children can he shoot before Sister Mary locks the doors? 5. 10. My blood turned to ice. He was right. I'd pushed him into a corner, and cornered animals were the most dangerous. So here's the new plan, he continued. We go to the will reading. You tell everyone you were mistaken, that your fall really was an accident, that you've been confused from the head injury. You sign the papers. Then you come with me to the warehouse where Patience is being held. Once I'm safely out of the country with the money transferred, I'll let you both go. You'll kill us. Maybe. Maybe not. That's the gamble you'll have to take. He started the car again. Because if you don't play along, people start dying right now. Your choice. We drove in silence through Victoria Island, past gleaming office buildings and luxury hotels, until we reached the law firm of Adebayo and Associates. The building was modest compared to its surroundings, only 6 stories, but prestigious. My parents had used this firm for 30 years. As we pulled into the parking garage, I saw them, police vehicles, trying to be inconspicuous but failing. Officer Okafor was here, just as Auntie Folake had promised. But could I reach him before Chukwudi made good on his threats? Remember, Chukwudi said as we exited the car, everyone you love is one phone call away from dying. Smile. I smiled. We took the elevator to the 5th floor, where the senior partner's conference room waited. The doors opened to reveal a scene I hadn't expected. The room was packed. Auntie Folake stood near the window, her face tight with worry. Officer Okafor was there with 2 other officers, all looking official and alert. And seated at the head of the long mahogany table was Mr. Adebayo himself, a distinguished man in his 70s who'd known my parents since they were young. But the person who caught my attention was the woman standing in the corner. She was young, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a recording device in her hand. A journalist, I realized. Auntie Folake had brought a journalist. Chukwidi's grip on my arm tightened painfully. What is this? The reading of Chief and Lady Okonkwo's will, Mr. Adebayo said formally. Please, both of you, take your seats. As we sat, I caught Auntie Folake's eye. She gave me the slightest nod, and I understood. This was protection. With a journalist present, with police present, Chukwudi couldn't make anyone disappear without witnesses. It was brilliant. But it also meant Patience was still in danger. And the children at Hope House. Mr. Adebayo opened a thick folder and began reading the formal legal language. The will was straightforward. The estate was to be divided equally between Chukwudi and myself, with one crucial stipulation. Both children had to be alive and present at the reading for it to be valid. If either of us died or disappeared before this moment, everything went to charity. That's why Chukwudi hadn't killed me yet. He needed me alive for the will to be read, needed me to sign the documents transferring my share to him. However, Mr. Adebayo continued, there is an addendum to the will, sealed and dated 3 weeks before Chief and Lady Okonkwo's death. It states that in the event of their untimely demise under suspicious circumstances, this reading should be delayed until certain conditions are met. He looked directly at Officer Okafor. Specifically, until a full police investigation is completed. Chukwudi shot to his feet. This is ridiculous. Our parents died in an accident. This is just delaying tactics. Sit down, Mr. Okonkwo, Officer Okafor said quietly. We have questions for you. I don't have to answer anything without my lawyer. Then call your lawyer. But you're not leaving this building. Officer Okafor pulled out a folder of his own. We've received some very interesting information today. Bank records showing large transfers to offshore accounts. Emails between you and Chief Bobolola Adeyemi. And a witness who's willing to testify about what happened the night your sister fell from the estate tower. Chukwidi's face went white. What witness? The conference room door opened, and Patience walked in. She was shaking, her clothes rumpled, but she was alive and unharmed. Behind her walked another man in handcuffs, Femi Adebayo, looking resigned and defeated. Femi decided to cooperate, Officer Okafor explained. In exchange for a reduced sentence, he's willing to testify about everything, including how he helped you plan your parents' accident, how he tampered with their car's brakes, how he was paid 5 million naira for his services. I stared at Patience, not understanding how she'd gotten free. She caught my eye and mouthed one word. Sister Mary. Of course. I told Sister Mary to keep the children safe, to not let anyone in. She must have called the police the moment she saw the threat. And the police, already alerted by Auntie Folake, had connected the dots and raided the warehouse where Patience was held. Chukwudi looked around the room wildly, like a trapped animal. His hand moved toward his phone, the burner phone. Don't, I said quietly. Your associate at Hope House? He was arrested 20 minutes ago. Sister Mary called the police. The children are safe. For a long moment, my brother just stared at me. Then something broke in his expression, the mask finally cracking completely. They were going to give you everything. Papa found out about my debts and decided you deserved it all. Perfect, Amara. Smart, Amara. His precious daughter. Tears streamed down his face, but they were tears of rage, not remorse. I built half that empire. I worked alongside him for years. But one mistake, one bad investment, and suddenly I was nothing. So you killed them, I said. Your own parents. I did what I had to do to survive. Chief Adeyemi would have killed me if I didn't pay him back. This was the only way. Mr. Chukwudi Okonkwo, Officer Okafor interrupted, standing up. You're under arrest for the murder of Chief Obi Okonkwo and Lady Ngozi Okonkwo, and for the attempted murder of Amara Okonkwo. You have the right to remain silent. As they read him his rights and handcuffed him, Chukwudi looked at me one last time. I'm your brother. How can you do this to me? You stopped being my brother the moment you pushed me off that tower, I said quietly. You stopped being my brother the moment you killed our parents. They led him away, and suddenly the room was too quiet. The journalist was furiously taking notes. Mr. Adebayo looked shaken. Auntie Folake rushed over and pulled me into a careful hug, mindful of my injuries. Your mother would be so proud, she whispered. So very proud. But I didn't feel proud. I felt empty, exhausted, and heartbroken. My brother, the person who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd protected me from bullies in primary school, who'd once been my hero, was a murderer. And I'd been the one to bring him down. Officer Okafor approached me gently. Miss Okonkwo, we'll need your full statement. Everything that happened, from the beginning. I know. But first, can someone take me to Hope House? I need to see the children. I need to make sure they're really okay. He nodded. Of course. I'll drive you myself. As I left the conference room, leaning on Patience for support, I caught sight of my reflection in the window. I looked different than I had a week ago. Older. Harder. The girl who'd trusted her brother blindly was gone, replaced by someone who'd learned the hardest lesson, that sometimes the people who are supposed to love you most are the ones who hurt you worst. But I'd survived. Against all odds, I'd survived. And now I had to figure out how to live with what that survival had cost. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're loving this African drama, hit that subscribe button and share this with your friends. The drive to Hope House felt longer than it should have. Officer Okafor drove carefully through Lagos traffic, occasionally glancing at me in the rearview mirror with concern. Patience sat beside me in the back seat, holding my good hand, neither of us speaking. What was there to say? We'd survived, but survival came with scars that went deeper than my broken ribs. When we pulled up to the yellow building, I saw Sister Mary standing on the steps, surrounded by children. The moment our car stopped, little Zainab broke free from the group and ran toward us, her braids flying behind her. Auntie Amara. "Auntie Amara," she shouted, and I barely made it out of the car before she crashed into my legs, hugging me so tight I had to bite back a gasp of pain. "Careful, Zainab," Sister Mary called, rushing over. "Auntie Amara is still healing." But I didn't care about the pain. I knelt down, ignoring my screaming ribs, and hugged her back. Then Tund was there and Chioma, and suddenly I was surrounded by children, all of them talking at once, asking questions, telling me about the bad man who'd been taken away by police. "We were so scared," Chioma said, her voice small. "Sister Mary made us stay inside and pray. She said you were keeping us safe." "I tried," I said, my voice thick. "I tried my best." Sister Mary pulled me aside once the children had calmed down enough to go back inside for their evening meal. We stood in the small garden behind the building, where Mama used to come on Saturdays to read stories to the kids. "They told me everything," Sister Mary said quietly. "The police. What your brother did. What he tried to do." She crossed herself. "God have mercy on his soul. He doesn't deserve mercy." "Perhaps not. But I'll pray for him anyway. And for you, Amara. You carry a heavy burden now." She was right. The weight of it, knowing my brother was a murderer, knowing I'd been the one to turn him in, felt like it would crush me. How do I move forward from this? How do I live knowing what he did? What he made me do? The same way we all move forward from tragedy. One day at a time. One choice at a time. Choosing to do the right thing, even when it's hard. She gestured toward the building, where I could hear the children laughing. "You saved 23 lives today. 23 children who would have been traumatized or worse if that man had gotten inside. That matters, Amara. It matters more than you know." Officer Okafor approached us, looking apologetic. "Miss Okonkwo, I hate to interrupt, but we need to go to the station. There's paperwork, statements to be taken, and—" He hesitated. "Your brother is asking to see you." My stomach twisted. "I don't want to see him. I understand. But he claims he has information about Chief Adeyemi's operation. Names, locations, evidence. He'll only share it if he can speak with you first." I looked at Sister Mary, who squeezed my shoulder. "Only you can decide if you're strong enough for that." Was I strong enough to face the brother who'd tried to kill me? Who'd murdered our parents? Part of me wanted to refuse, to never see his face again. But another part, the part that sounded like Mama, knew that getting information about Chief Adeyemi's network could save other families from going through what we had. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll see him. But only for 5 minutes." The Lagos State Police Headquarters was an imposing concrete building in Ikeja, always buzzing with activity. Officer Okafor led me through security, past holding cells where I tried not to look at the faces pressed against bars, until we reached an interrogation room. Chukwudi sat at a metal table, handcuffed, looking nothing like the confident businessman who'd picked me up from the hospital just days ago. His expensive suit was rumpled, his eyes red-rimmed. When I walked in, he looked up with something that might have been hope. "Amara, thank you for coming." I sat down across from him, Officer Okafor standing by the door. "You have 5 minutes. Talk." "I'm sorry." The words came out broken. "I know it doesn't mean anything now, but I need you to know, I'm sorry. For everything. For Mama and Papa, for pushing you, for threatening the children. I was drowning, and I dragged everyone down with me." "You murdered our parents," I said flatly. "Sorry doesn't fix that." I know it doesn't." He looked down at his cuffed hands. "But Chief Adeyemi, he has files. Evidence of bribes paid to judges, politicians, police officers. Names of people he's had killed. It's all in a safe in his house in Banana Island. The code is 4-7-2-9-6-1. Mama's birthday." I felt sick. He used Mama's birthday? He thought it was funny. A joke, using the date of birth of the woman whose murder he orchestrated. Chukwudi's voice cracked. If you can get that evidence, you can bring down his entire network. Save other families from what happened to us. Why are you telling me this? Why not the police? He finally looked up, meeting my eyes. Because I need you to understand something. What I did, it wasn't just about the money or the debts. Part of me was jealous of how much Mama and Papa loved you, how proud they were of you. And that jealousy turned into something poisonous. Something that made me capable of terrible things. So this is supposed to make it better? You explaining why you became a monster? No. Nothing makes it better. I just need you to know that the brother you grew up with, he was real. Those memories of us playing on the beach, me teaching you chess, protecting you at school, those were real. I loved you, Amara. I still do, even though I know I don't deserve to. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. The brother I loved would never have done what you did. You're right. He died the day I made that deal with Chief Adeyemi. The day I chose money over family. He leaned forward as much as the handcuffs would allow. I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. I deserve that. But please, use that information to stop him. Don't let Mama and Papa's deaths be for nothing. I stood up. Officer Okafor will get the information from you. I'm done here. Amara, wait. Goodbye, Chukwudi. I walked out of that interrogation room and didn't look back. In the hallway, I finally let the tears come, silent and hot, running down my cheeks. Patience appeared from somewhere. She'd been waiting, and simply held me while I cried. It's okay to grieve, she said softly. Even for someone who hurt you. You're grieving the brother you thought you had. She was right. I was mourning two deaths. The physical death of my parents and the death of the brother I'd loved. Both were gone, and I had to accept that neither was coming back. Over the next few days, everything moved quickly. Officer Okafor and his team raided Chief Adeyemi's Banana Island mansion and found exactly what Chukwudi had described. Files containing years of corruption, bribery, and murder. The evidence implicated 3 judges, 12 police officers, 2 state senators, and countless others. Chief Adeyemi, who'd been preparing to flee the country, was arrested at the airport. The media went crazy. Headlines screamed about the billion-dollar estate murder plot, and the sister who brought down a criminal empire. The journalist who'd been at the will reading wrote a comprehensive piece for The Guardian Nigeria that went viral. Suddenly, everyone knew my story. I hated it. I just wanted to grieve in peace, to process what had happened without cameras in my face. But Auntie Folake helped me navigate the attention, teaching me how to give brief statements without revealing too much, how to protect my privacy while still cooperating with authorities. The will reading was rescheduled for 2 weeks later. This time, it was just me, Auntie Folake, and Mr. Adebayo in a small office. No cameras, no police, no drama. As the sole surviving heir, the entire Okonkwo estate passes to you, Miss Amara, Mr. Adebayo said gently. 4 billion naira, plus properties, investments, and business holdings. You're one of the wealthiest young women in Nigeria. I stared at the papers in front of me, feeling nothing. The money couldn't bring back my parents. Couldn't give me back my brother. Couldn't undo any of the pain. What happens to Chukwudi's legal fees? I asked. His defense. Mr. Adebayo looked surprised. Technically, as his next of kin, you could choose to fund his defense. But given what he did, I want him to have a fair trial. A good lawyer. Not because I forgive him, but because that's what Mama would have wanted. She believed in justice, real justice, not revenge. Auntie Folake smiled sadly. Your mother raised you well. After signing countless documents, I left the law office and stood on the busy Victoria Island street, watching Lagos move around me. The city that had witnessed my family's destruction was the same city that would witness my rebuilding. My phone buzzed. A text from Sister Mary. The children want to know when you're visiting next. Zainab drew you another picture. It's quite dramatic. You're a superhero fighting a monster. I think you'll appreciate the accuracy. Despite everything, I smiled. Yes, I'd lost my family. Yes, I'd been betrayed by my own brother. Yes, I carried scars that would never fully heal. But I also had Hope House. I had the children who needed me. I had Patience and Auntie Folake and Sister Mary. I had a purpose, to use my parents' fortune to do good, to help people, to make sure their legacy was about more than just how they died. I texted back, "I'll be there tomorrow. Tell Zainab I can't wait to see it." As I walked toward where Patience waited with the car, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Miss Okonkwo. An unfamiliar voice, male, with a slight accent I couldn't place. My name is Detective James Morrison. I work for Interpol. My stomach dropped. Interpol? Why are you calling me? Because we've been investigating Chief Babalola Adeyemi for 3 years. The evidence you helped uncover is crucial to our case. But there's something else. Something we found in his files that mentions your parents. He paused. Miss Okonkwo, we have reason to believe Chief Adeyemi didn't act alone. There may be others involved in your parents' death. People who are still out there. The world tilted. What are you talking about? Chukwudi and Femi confessed. Chief Adeyemi gave the orders. And someone gave Chief Adeyemi orders. Someone higher up the chain. Someone who wanted your parents dead for reasons that go beyond debt collection. His voice became urgent. Miss Okonkwo, I need you to be very careful. If I'm right, you might still be in danger. I looked around the busy street, suddenly seeing threats everywhere. Who else is involved? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But I found a name in Chief Adeyemi's coded files. A name that keeps appearing in connection with your parents. Does the name Cobra mean anything to you? Cobra. My blood ran cold. I knew that name. My father had mentioned it once years ago, when I'd accidentally overheard him talking to Mama. If Cobra comes after us, he'd said, there's nowhere we can hide. At the time, I'd thought he was being dramatic. Now I realized it had been a warning. Miss Okonkwo? Are you still there? Yes, I said quietly. I know who Cobra is. Or at least, I know someone who might. But if I'm right. I trailed off, the implications crashing over me like a wave. If I was right, then everything I thought I knew about my parents' murder was wrong. Chukwudi had been a pawn. Chief Adeyemi had been a pawn. And the real puppet master was someone I'd trusted. Someone who was still very close to me. Someone who'd been playing a much longer game than anyone realized. Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're loving this African drama, hit that subscribe button and share this with your friends. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. I stood frozen on that Victoria Island sidewalk, phone pressed to my ear, as Lagos moved around me in its usual chaos, but I barely heard any of it. My mind was racing backward through memories, searching for the truth I'd somehow missed. Miss Okonkwo, I need you to tell me what you know about Cobra, Detective Morrison pressed. Every second we waste could put you at greater risk. Not over the phone, I said, my voice barely steady. Meet me at the Eco Hotel in 1 hour. Bring whatever files you have on Cobra. I hung up before he could argue and immediately called Auntie Folake. When she answered, I chose my words carefully. Auntie, I need to ask you something. When you and Mama were in university, she mentioned someone once. Someone she called Cobra. Who was that? The silence on the other end stretched too long. When Auntie Folake finally spoke, her voice was tight. Where did you hear that name? Please. Just tell me. Amara, that name belongs to a past your mother worked very hard to escape. Promise me you'll leave it alone. I can't. Interpol thinks Cobra is connected to Mama and Papa's death. If you know something, I need to hear it. All of it. Another long pause. Then, come to my house. Now. And Amara, come alone. Don't tell anyone where you're going, not even Patience. The way she said it made my skin crawl. I trusted Auntie Folake completely, but now doubt crept in. Was she protecting me or protecting herself? Was she Cobra? Still, I had no choice. I needed answers, and she was my only lead. I sent Patience home in the car, telling her I had business to handle and would take a taxi. Then I hailed an Okada, a motorcycle taxi, and gave the driver Auntie Folake's address in Ikoyi. As we weaved through traffic, I texted Detective Morrison the change in plans, giving him Auntie Folake's address instead. If this was a trap, at least someone would know where I'd gone. Auntie Folake's house was a beautiful colonial-style building surrounded by high walls and lush gardens. The security guard knew me and waved me through without question. I found her waiting on the veranda, 2 glasses of Chapman, a Nigerian cocktail already poured. "Sit," she said, and her voice carried a weight I'd never heard before. I sat, but I didn't touch the drink. After everything with Chukwudi, I wasn't taking chances. She noticed and smiled sadly. "Smart girl. Your mother taught you well." She pushed both glasses aside. "The name Cobra belongs to someone your mother and I knew in university. Someone brilliant, charismatic, and absolutely ruthless. Someone who built a shadow empire while the rest of us were still figuring out our careers." "Who?" "Your father." The world stopped. What? Chief Obi Okonkwo was Cobra. Before he became a legitimate businessman, before he married your mother, he was one of the most dangerous men in Lagos. He ran smuggling operations, bribed officials, eliminated competitors. Everything Chief Adeyemi did, your father had done first, only better, smarter, more carefully. I shook my head, refusing to believe it. No. Papa was good. He was kind and honest and he was human. Complex. Capable of both great kindness and terrible violence, depending on what was needed. Auntie Folake's eyes filled with tears. Your mother fell in love with him anyway. She saw the man he could become if he left that life behind. And he did, for her. He went legitimate, built Okonkwo Enterprises from the ground up using his connections, but keeping everything legal. Or mostly legal. If this is true, why are you telling me now? Because someone from that old life found him. Someone who knew what he'd been. Your father thought he'd buried Cobra so deep that no one would ever dig him up. But Chief Adeyemi discovered the truth somehow. And he used it for leverage. My mind raced. That's why Papa couldn't just expose Chief Adeyemi. Because Chief Adeyemi knew about Cobra. About Papa's past. Exactly. It was mutually assured destruction. But then your father decided he'd rather destroy himself than let Chief Adeyemi corrupt his children. He was gathering evidence to expose them both, his own past crimes and Chief Adeyemi's current ones. He was going to give everything to the authorities and face whatever consequences came. But Chief Adeyemi killed him first. Yes. And made it look like an accident, using your brother as the weapon. Auntie Folake stood up, pacing. But here's what I don't understand. Chief Adeyemi wasn't smart enough to discover Cobra on his own. Someone told him. Someone who knew about your father's past and wanted to use that information for their own purposes. A car pulled up outside. Through the window, I saw Detective Morrison arriving, accompanied by 2 other people in suits. But Auntie Folake wasn't looking at them. She was staring at something over my shoulder, her face going pale. I turned. Mr. Adebayo stood in the doorway. Our family lawyer. The man who'd known my parents for 30 years. The man who'd read the will, who'd been present at every important moment of our lives. And he was holding a gun. Ngozi was always too clever for her own good, he said calmly, using my mother's first name. She figured it out at the end, you know. Called me 3 days before she died. Told me she knew I was the one who'd told Chief Adeyemi about Cobra. Threatened to expose me unless I left her family alone. My voice came out as a whisper. You. But you were Papa's friend. His lawyer. I was Cobra's lawyer. I helped him build that empire, helped him hide the money, helped him create the legitimate facade. And when he decided to go soft, to become some boring businessman playing by the rules, I was cast aside, given a comfortable salary and a pat on the head while he built his billion-naira estate. The bitterness in his voice was toxic. I deserved half of that. I earned it. But your father forgot who'd made him possible. So you told Chief Adeyemi about Cobra, Auntie Folake said, understanding dawning. You fed him the information, knowing he'd use it against Obi. I gave Chief Adeyemi just enough to make him dangerous. I thought Obi would pay him off, give him a piece of the empire. Instead, your father decided to burn it all down. Foolish. He raised the gun, pointing it at me. And then there was the will. I thought I'd written it carefully enough, equal shares for both children, with me as the executor. I'd control the estate through Chukwudi, who was weak and manageable. But Obi added that addendum, that clause about investigations. He suspected me even then. You won't get away with this, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Detective Morrison is outside. Interpol knows everything. Interpol knows what I've allowed them to know. I've been feeding them information for years, always careful to implicate others while keeping myself clean. He smiled. Chief Adeyemi was my masterpiece, a perfect scapegoat who believed he was the mastermind. And your brother? Even better. Everyone's so focused on the family tragedy, the brother who killed for inheritance, that nobody looks at the lawyer in the corner taking notes. Outside, I heard car doors opening. Detective Morrison and his team were approaching the house. Mr. Adebayo heard it too. His eyes flickered toward the door, then back to us. It doesn't matter. By the time they figure out what happened here, I'll be gone. Another tragic accident, the lawyer trying to protect young Amara, killed by an intruder along with poor Folake. Such a shame. Actually, a voice said from behind him, I think we've figured it out already. Mr. Adebayo spun around. Officer Okafor stood there, his own weapon drawn, with two other officers flanking him. Behind them, Detective Morrison appeared, also armed. You recorded this entire conversation, didn't you? Mr. Adebayo said, looking at me with something like respect. The phone call with Morrison, coming here, getting me to confess. Clever. Just like Ngozi. I held up my phone, which I'd left on and recording in my pocket since the call with Detective Morrison. Mama taught me to always have evidence. You helped her learn that, actually. One of the few good lessons you gave. For a moment, Mr. Adebayo just stared at the gun in his hand. Then he laughed, a hollow, broken sound. I suppose it's fitting. Brought down by the daughter of the man I helped create. He lowered the weapon slowly. You know, Amara, you're more like Cobra than Obi ever wanted you to be. Ruthless when necessary. Willing to do whatever it takes to win. The difference is, I'm nothing like my father's past, I said quietly. I don't want power or revenge. I just want justice. For my parents. For everyone you hurt. As the officers moved in to arrest him, Mr. Adebayo looked at me one last time. Your father tried to escape his past too. But it always catches up eventually. Remember that, when you're running Okonkwo Enterprises. The empire was built on blood and secrets. That foundation never truly goes away. They led him out in handcuffs, and suddenly the room was full of people. Police, Interpol agents, forensic teams. Detective Morrison approached me, professional concern on his face. Are you all right, Miss Okonkwo? No, I said honestly. But I will be. Auntie Folake pulled me into a tight embrace. Your mother would be so proud. And so angry that I told you about Cobra. She wanted to protect you from that truth. I know. But I needed to know who my father really was. All of him, the good and the bad. How else can I figure out who I want to be? The next few hours were a blur of statements and paperwork. Detective Morrison explained that they'd been watching Mr. Adebayo for months, suspecting his involvement but unable to prove it. My recording, combined with forensic evidence they'd gathered from Chief Adeyemi's files, would be enough to convict him of conspiracy to murder, along with dozens of other charges. By the time I left Auntie Folake's house, it was nearly midnight. Patience was waiting outside in the car, looking worried and relieved in equal measure. "Are you ready to go home?" she asked gently. Home. The Okonkwo estate, with its tower where Chukwudi had pushed me, its empty rooms that still echoed with my parents' voices. Did I want to go back there? "Actually," I said, "take me to Hope House first." Sister Mary answered the door in her nightgown, surprised but welcoming. "Amara, is everything all right? Can I stay here tonight? In the volunteer room?" She understood immediately. "Of course. You're always welcome here." I spent that night in a small, simple room at Hope House, listening to the sounds of children sleeping down the hall. It was peaceful in a way the mansion never could be. These walls held no secrets, no ghosts of betrayal. The next morning, I woke to Zainab peeking through my doorway. "Auntie Amara, you're here. Did you come for breakfast?" She bounded into the room, all energy and innocence. "I did. What are we having?" "Akara and pap. And Sister Mary said if we're all good, maybe we can go to the park later." She paused, studying my face with the intensity only children possess. "You look sad. Did the bad people hurt you again?" "The bad people can't hurt me anymore," I told her, pulling her into a gentle hug. "They're all gone now." "Good. Because you're our superhero. Superheroes don't get hurt by bad people." If only that were true. But I smiled and let her believe it. Over breakfast with the children, I made a decision. The Okonkwo estate would be sold. The money would go into a foundation, the Chief Obi and Lady Ngozi Okonkwo Foundation for Orphans and Vulnerable Children. Hope House would be its first beneficiary, but there would be others. Schools, medical clinics, scholarship programs. My parents' fortune would do good, real good, for children across Nigeria. As for me, I'd keep a modest apartment in Victoria Island and focus on running the foundation. I didn't need a billion-dollar tower to prove I'd survived. I just needed purpose, and these children gave me that. 3 months later, I stood in a new office, smaller than my father's had been, but bright and filled with plants. The foundation's first annual report sat on my desk, showing all the lives we'd already touched. 23 children at Hope House, plus 50 more at 3 other orphanages we now supported. Medical care for hundreds. School fees for thousands. My phone buzzed. A message from Officer Okafor. "Thought you'd want to know. Chukwudi's trial starts next week. He's pleading guilty. Asked if you'd consider visiting before sentencing." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to refuse, to never see my brother again. But another part, the part that sounded like Mama, knew that healing required facing pain, not running from it. I texted back, "I'll be there." Before I could second-guess myself, another message came through. This one from a number I didn't recognize. "Miss Okonkwo, this is Femi Adebayo. I know I have no right to contact you, but I wanted you to know something. Your parents saved my life once, when I was younger. That's why I became an investigator, to help people like them. When your brother approached me, offered me money to betray them, I should have refused. I should have warned them. My cowardice helped kill 2 good people. I'll carry that guilt until I die. But I want you to know, they were good people. Even with your father's past, he became someone worth respecting. Don't let Mr. Adebayo's poison make you think otherwise." I read the message 3 times, then deleted it. Forgiveness wasn't something I could offer yet. Maybe not ever. But acknowledgement, understanding that people were complex and capable of both good and evil, that I could manage. A knock on my office door interrupted my thoughts. Auntie Folake stood there with a smile and a large envelope. "What's this?" I asked. Letters. Your mother wrote them before she died, one for each year until you turned 30. She left them with me for safekeeping. I think it's time you had the first one. My hands shook as I took the envelope. Inside was a letter in Mama's elegant handwriting. My dearest Amara, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and you've discovered truths about your father and me that we hoped you'd never need to know. I'm sorry for that. Sorry for the secrets. Sorry for the burden we've left you. But I want you to understand something important. Your father was not a perfect man. He made terrible mistakes, hurt people, built an empire on questionable foundations. But he spent the second half of his life trying to be better, to build something good from those dark beginnings. That's all any of us can do, acknowledge our mistakes and try to be better tomorrow than we were yesterday. You are the best of both of us, Amara. Your father's strength and intelligence, tempered by compassion and integrity, that's all your own. Whatever you choose to do with the inheritance we've left you, I know it will be good. Be brave. Be kind. And remember that family isn't just blood. It's the people you choose to love and protect. Your papa and I will always be proud of you. With all my love, Mama. I sat there, tears streaming down my face, clutching the letter. Through the office window, I could see Lagos spreading out before me. Chaotic, beautiful, impossible Lagos. The city where my family had risen and fallen. The city where I'd almost died and somehow found the strength to live. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Sister Mary with a photo attached. All 23 children from Hope House, holding a banner they'd made. It read, "Thank you, Auntie Amara. You're our superhero." And maybe I wasn't a superhero. Maybe I was just a 24-year-old woman trying to make sense of a world that had shown me both its worst and its best. But I was alive. I was free. And I had a purpose. My brother had kicked me off the tower of our late parents' billion-dollar estate, thinking he could erase me from the story. Instead, I'd fallen and survived. I'd uncovered the truth. I'd brought down not just him, but an entire network of corruption that had poisoned my family for decades. And now I was writing a new story. One where the Okonkwo name meant hope instead of tragedy. Where my parents' complex legacy became something beautiful and redemptive. The tower was gone. I'd had it demolished, that monument to my near death. In its place, we were building a library and community center. A place where children could come to learn and dream and become whoever they wanted to be. Because that's what survival meant. Not just living through the fall, but choosing what to build in the aftermath. I looked at Mama's letter one more time, then carefully filed it away with the Foundation's documents. There would be more letters, more revelations, more challenges ahead. But for now, I had work to do. 23 children were waiting for their superhero to visit. And this superhero had promises to keep. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more powerful African stories, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next upload.